So you would find that a club could field a second division side and of course also a first division side. But it would be restricted, the club would be restricted in the number of players from the first division who could play in the second division. So in other words, as far as I can recall, at one time, a second division side could field no more than 4 first division players, because the players had to be registered in respect of their particular specific divisions. So that is how it occurred. And one of the other things as well, the schools, grammar school and St. Mary's Academy, they included 1 or 2 school teachers, schoolmasters in the school team. So by and large, I think the captaincy was in the hands of a schoolboy, but there may as well be 1 or 2 schoolmasters in the side for, let us say, supervision purposes, guidance, and so on. Because I knew very well that 1 or 2 of the schoolmasters who played were not very good cricketers per se. They loved the game, but they did their best. But their place on the team was to really give the youngsters some sort of guidance. So there it is that the young Caleb Lora was playing for St. Mary's Academy. I did have a very good look at him, and I saw that in effect he did have a lot of serious potential, as Eddie Robinson told me. My most vivid observation was the length of his run-up. Caleb ran up to the wickets using about 10 to 12 paces to bowl spin. Now, the reason why I gather that that was the case, because I was talking with Hasselt Williams, former Dominica pace bowler. I was talking with Hasselt Williams at the funeral during the broadcast, and Hasselt, who is from Point Michel and spent a lot of years in Canada, Hasselt Williams told me that Lora and himself would open the bowling for St. Mary's Academy as pace bowlers, and then eventually Caleb sort of drifted into bowling spin. So Caleb was accustomed to a fairly lengthy run by comparison, let's say, relatively speaking, in terms of a spin bowler. Normally we do have spin bowlers taking 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6 paces to bowl, but Caleb was taking 10, 11, 12, and probably slightly more. Now, one of the things that drew my attention was that he was able, on that sort of length of run, to bowl a quick ball, a pretty quick one that was the pace of a pace bowler. That is, pace bowler's speed, pure and simple. He was able to do that as a change of pace, and at the same time he was able to hold the ball back and bowl slow deliveries, slow spin. Off spin he bowled, but there was a lot of variety. He turned the ball sometimes from leg, as a slight leg spinner, and he was able to bowl spin, off spin that turned sharply, and also he was able to bowl sometimes a variation where he used 2 fingers. And I hear nowadays, those of you who follow cricket at international level, you do hear them talking about bowlers bowling the deucer, or whatever it is, Murray Thuran and others. But Caleb Lora, long before that term had come into operation, we had Caleb Lora bowling the ball from 2 fingers, like a off cutter, which you would cut towards leg, moving the ball towards the slips, or moving the ball in. So let us say, you might say he was probably in advance of his time. Now, I saw Caleb Lora bowling as a schoolboy, and I am pretty well certain that he took his cricket fairly seriously, because he seemed to pay a lot of attention. His focus was not something that drifted. He paid a lot of attention to what he was doing, and he showed a lot of technique in his slower ball. One of the best things with Caleb Lora was that he was able to come through as if he was going to bowl a ball at more than medium pace and then hold it back, and the ball dipped in flight. It was flight that the batsman did not anticipate to be injected into the whole process, and he would hold it back and the ball would seem to dip. Many a batsman got out trying to hit at Caleb Lora simply because he thought the ball was there for the big hit. Now, a man who could bowl effectively at Botanic Gardens, which is a small ground, your straight boundaries are very small at Botanic Gardens, and a man who could bowl there and contain a lot of good hitters of the ball and contain them well and make them, so to speak, sell their wickets to him, then he had to be pretty good. So a number of people think that a small ground is a detriment to development of your cricketers, your bowlers, your batsmen, and so on. But I think it sort of cuts both ways. A bowler who can avoid being hit with a short boundary, then at least he has something going for him. And that is what Caleb Lora developed. You're tuned to SportsLink, your host here, Reginald St. Havis Shillingford, and we're looking back at the Caleb Lora legacy. Caleb Lora, as you will have heard or will have known by now, he passed away recently and was buried at St. Joseph last Wednesday. Now the gravesite of the late Caleb Lora, as I mentioned during the broadcast at the funeral, is in effect the very closest to the doors of the church, front doors of the church at St. Joseph. Very closest. It's part of the family funeral, family burial plot. And in effect also, incidentally, the gravesite is only a very short distance, probably less than 60 feet, 20 yards, from the little playing field at St. Joseph, next to the church, near as well to the police station, where Caleb Lora learned his craft, learned to bowl, developed his technique. Small ground. And of course, I had the opportunity later on to play at St. Joseph, friendly matches. Our club played there, and we played against Caleb Lora and quite a number of other very avid adherents to the sport. Those were the days when you played a cricket match and you had a crowd in the village. You had crowds of people coming to watch the match on Sunday. We played on Sundays, and you had very good crowds coming to watch the matches. So it was the same thing in other areas. For instance, Point Michel, Grand Bay, Castle Bruce, Bagatelle, La Plaine, places like Marigot, Grand Fond, Collyho, Coolibis Street,